Good afternoon. Well, it's a beautiful day out. I think it's 70. I just got a good order from the court, and I thought this was a good time to use that energy to go out walking and go back to work afterwards. So, what's going on? Well, I'm not going to talk about the debt limit and the impossibility of McCarthy and Biden agreeing on anything, and I'm weary and concerned of any deal that's going to set our budget and link it to the debt limit. We can't do business that way. But we may, we're doing a lot of other things wrong, so why not do that as well? In the category of a sinking ship, you have to wonder about the Trump Council, who is leaving the Mar-a-Lago representation and testifying that he's fully in support. He's just he wants to go on and do other things. I guess he wants to be with his family longer. That's usually what they say. The man's Timothy Parlatore, I think, Parlatore, if I remember correctly. And he's heading for the hills. During Watergate, the same thing happened. There were two, in my opinion, classes of lawyers. There were the lawyers who went to jail, and then there were the lawyers who put them in jail. So I think we're going to see some of that finally in America, as the cowards are forced by us constantly calling them cowards and pushing them and saying, why don't you do something other nations can? Former president of France can be prosecuted, but not trickster, trumpeter Trump himself. No, we can't do him. Why? Well, it would be just. It would be the law. It would be the Constitution. It would protect our institutions. It would lead people to believe that there's a reason to trust our laws, that they actually were applied to everybody. And they're applied, if not equally, at least with a little gusto. Like at least name them in an indictment with several felonies, rather than, I don't know, play with your rosary beads saying, how can we do it? Should we do it? What would it mean? My friends who decry Plato's ideas because, this image sometimes causes people to do unexceptional things, saying because of the idea. So if the idea is the presidency is so terrific an institution, how could we possibly assail someone who tried to overthrow the government without somehow compromising what it is to be the president? And maybe the reverse way to look at this is, how do we protect the presidency as an idea in America, a chief executive as part of a constitutional tripartite, tridepartmental government, if we can let any crook take on that position and then not punish them for it? How do we hold people up to a higher ideal? I don't know. And now in the category of fun things, Martha Stewart, who's 81, is, I'm told, on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And my first reaction was I didn't know what to make of it. And my second reaction is good for her. In this age of ageism, I think it's pretty cool that she'd have the opportunity to have this jaunt, go off and, appear in a one-piece bathing suit, and which is what I understand she's wearing. And, she's a young-looking lady at her age. So I think it's a great symbol for other people who are getting older, that why not have these adventures? And I'm sure this is an adventure for her. This is fun for her. She expects to be kidded. She expects to be celebrated. She's anxious about how she appears. And I think she's having fun with it. And I think we should join in her celebration of the human spirit, even as she's getting older in years. It's a way to push back against ageism. We don't recognize the wisdom body that, most people say does accumulate as we age, that's a part of our passage. And but it doesn't say we can't have fun along the way. She's not going to run a marathon, but she knows how to present herself, and I think that's kind of cool. Now, this makes me think of artificial intelligence. Because the politicians on the Hill, certainly their intelligence is artificial. And we say this like we haven't been devising systems that have so many choices that they ask the question, one is a robot, a human. And the test was when you can't tell if you're talking to a robot or a human. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's the old test. And people on the Hill, I'm sure, don't know that test. And they're afraid of what they don't know. And in America, so many people are terrified of algebra and calculus and trigonometry. How could they possibly deal with this? But you would think we've been through so many ages of computers, and they're complicated uses, and we use them and we program them ourselves to help us make decisions, artificial intelligence. So the fact of the complexity of these new programs leads the Hill to go crazy. What they can't understand and they can't control, that's a scary thing for these people. They won't do anything about guns, but they're going to go out there and they're going to get the bits and bytes and they're going to master them. Not. There's no way they can master them. They don't understand enough. And when we've seen people on the Hill come up there from Silicon Valley or the 123 highway or any of these places where this is the breeding ground for the new adventurous advances in technology, these people are lost. They don't know anything about it. And that's no way for our Congress to be. I mean, I was interested in science and got degrees and stuff like that. I enjoyed it. I was interested in it. But we need people who are truly proficient, who can help us deal with these advances. So the government wants to direct the industry to not do anything for 6 months. While what? The government doesn't do anything for 6 months. And one thing I learned on spending my time on the science committee when I was up on the Hill as a special counsel to Zoe Lofgren at the time, who's from Silicon Valley, it was that when you choose standards, you make winners and losers in business. And it's very interesting because Democrats and Republicans always talk about a free economy, and then they go around setting thresholds and standards and things like that that favor this friend over that friend, this industry over that industry, this sector over that sector. So this thing about artificial intelligence, just below the first layer, I suspect there is a drive to control the market and to steer it toward friends. I don't know. We'll read about it in 1 to 5 years, maybe when it's too late, after we've made bad decisions based on whose friend, quote, friend you're helping. Now, I guess you could follow the money, see where the contributions are coming from, the techies, and that'd give you a good idea of what's really going on. In the category of dumb as a post, we have Tennessee Governor Lee, and you may remember we had a brutal incident involving guns there in March, and he wants to pass legislation giving immunity to certain gun manufacturers and those who produce, the bullets and the ammunition for these things. We just don't get it. On the one hand, we want to squelch technology. On the other hand, we want to make it more difficult to repress the violence in America by holding responsible the manufacturers of these weapons and killing machines. Not great. So how can we finish up with something that's more fun and friendly? There's a very attractive woman, Danae Moore. I believe she's from Jamaica. She is a talented musician, but she has another interest. She's a vegan, and she is inviting the world to sample Jamaican vegan dishes, So, think of plantain nachos and with special sauce on it. Things that are plant-based entirely. And she's advocating this, and she's finding followers, and I think it's a good undertaking. Full disclosure, yes, I am a vegetarian, almost vegan. Years ago, I was totally vegan. But occasionally I have cheese or something like that, so I violate my guiding principles, if you will. So I think it's really a great idea that she's doing this and making it an adventure. that I had my first taste of plantain because I went to school with a guy, Joseph Wiener, who was from Haiti, and I went down for his wedding. And the things that we ate down there were marvelous, but I was introduced to plantain and its various incarnations, so I have a little bit of knowledge about what she may be doing in her gastronomic delights. So that's what I have for the day. It's, like I said, a nice day out. It's good to be out. Nice to win a motion. And I am continuously hopeful that brains, virtue, goodwill, the values that established this country that didn't exist when it was established and that have grown since will reassert itself. And the cowards among us, elected and otherwise, will be pushed to the side because they're not part of the solution. They are the problem. And we will, because of that, we will restore our republic and return to a stronger form of democracy than we're now enduring. So I say goodbye from my cathedral of trees, and I look forward to talking to you the next time. Bye-bye.